pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
While we're standing, I'd like to just take a second to remember Kaylee Campbell, our deputy, who was passed away in an accident. After that, thank you all in your departments and your folks for all that you do for everybody in the community. Before we start our business, would you please introduce your newest hire, your deputy?
Yeah, it's Brian Wilson.
First day on the job.
Yes, sir.
Welcome aboard. Why don't we head around the table and quick introductions for tonight's state, if that's okay. I am Gary Hill, chair of this committee, and my district is Constantia, New York. So,
Hi, Trey. I'm Phil Church. I'm the county administrator.
Chuck Bruder, 17th district.
I'm Jeff Karasik, and I chair the Health Committee, and I'm president of the Board of Health. And 4 paws underneath here, her name is Isabel.
Raven A. Hart, Deputy Clerk of the Legislature.
Eric Boozer, Director of Veteran Services.
Brian Teddy, Bureau of Parks and Rec.
Sarah Sunday, Director of the Office for the Aging.
Break Puerto, District 7, Mexico.
Herb, you're in District 2. I represent Williamstown, Elgin, Orwell.
Anybody in the back row?
Lorraine Lankowski, Director of Fiscal Management, DSS.
Tiffany Timmons, Administrative Assistant, DSS. Nicole Colmsey, Director of Community Mental Hygiene Services, DSS.
Once again, welcome aboard. We have a long, successful tenure with us. So our first order of business is approval of minutes for the Human Services Committee regular meeting September 3rd, 2020.
Take a motion.
Second. Any changes, any recommendations? All those in favor? Any opposed? All set. Okay, to our resolutions today. HS1 is a resolution authorizing budget modification for social services for administration, furniture, and furnishing. There is currently children's furniture in disrepair and needs replacement for lobby seating. The replacement seating is made of durable steel and plastic and is adjustable in size to accommodate both toddlers and youth. This is just a $500 increase, but we asked to come through budget because we're taking it from salaries and wages. Look for a motion on HS1. Second. Motion in a second. Any discussion or any questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? Carries. Thank you. Resolution HS2 is a resolution authorizing budgetary modification. Department of Social Services, other supplies and expense, Food Bank of Central New York. This is a budget modification to transfer funds for the Food Bank of CNY contract, an increase for the 2024 season. I think, as you all know, DSS partners with the Food Bank of Central New York, but they also help identify and screen SNAP eligible participants. DSS receives 50% federal reimbursement for that. The total contract for 2024-2025 is $86,724. Increased food costs, wages, etc. There's a $6,700 gap. This is to come from salaries and wages and that as well. Look for a motion on HS2. Got her second. So we did something really similar to this back in June, and that showed that the contract was $82,740. This shows that the contract is $86,724. Where did that difference come from?
contract runs from October through the end of September. So the previous budget mod was to adjust the previous contract that would have ran through September.
Okay,
And then the newest contract will run starting October 1st.
so that would be good in the info memos to put the months then, if they don't start and end on like a fiscal January type of deal.
Okay.
Just because because both resolutions back in June and this one both call it the 2025. So really it wasn't 2025. Oh, okay, so the other one said if it carried through in the 2025 budget, last time it would increase the local share. This is budget neutral for this year. So any other questions on this? It's the changes for $6,700. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. HS3 is a resolution authorizing budgetary modifications, Department of Social Services, administration, books, and periodicals. DSS uses books and periodicals budget line for purchase of legal books, online legal subscriptions, etc. This would increase the books and periodicals budget line by 1,000 and decrease salaries and wages by 1,000. That's budget neutral. Look for a motion on HS3. Jim, got a second, third. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. HS4 is a resolution authorizing budgetary modification amendment to resolution number 250, Department of Social Services Administration mileage reimbursement. Before we offer the resolution for first and second, you have listed on here that it's full on your Department of Social Services, Human Services agenda items.
The adult family services mileage reimbursement was not pulled. The admin request that had initially been sent was pulled.
That is,
Yeah, so,
We had submitted one for admin mileage reimbursement to correct a previous budget mod, but it wasn't necessary because HR was able to post to the budget line that they had put the money in.
all right, so it's not the whole resolution, it's just a portion that was for admin mileage. This is still for 6 to 7 adult family services.
That one is correct.
Yeah.
It's on the correct.
Okay, so then we do need, we're going to go ahead and do this then, right?
Yeah, I think the resolution numbers don't match the numbers here. So in other words, number 4 on theirs is pulled, but it's not even in your packet. Their number
Correct.
5 is our number 4. So through your packet, just go through your packet.
Yeah, I was just trying to make it more fun for me. All right, okay, so I'll look for a motion then on the HS4 that's we have in the packet. First, got a second. Okay. So, and that's $1,000 for administration mileage reimbursement. Any questions?
No.
No.
It should be 87,000 for adult family services mileage reimbursement.
That's HS5.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll skip HS4 and I'll start over.
I'm sorry.
The HS4 that's in the packet is for 87.
Okay, so you guys changed the numbers on me. See, I do all my notes from your info memos that get sent to me earlier in the month.
Okay.
Which usually speeds up the meeting. Okay,
It's 5 in the packet, it's 6 in our sheet.
we're gonna start over with this, the HS4 that's in your packet. Apologize. authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, Adult and Family Services mileage reimbursement for $87,000. This is to increase the mileage reimbursement line to $87,000, decrease salaries and wages by $55,000, and decrease other supplies and expenses budget line by $30,000. I'll look for a motion to discuss. Okay, that's a lot. So are we just short? Is this, so it wasn't?
We are short, and usually at the beginning of the fiscal year, the IRS will change the mileage rate. But we're going to be short in reimbursing employees for mileage.
Okay, so we think that that's going to carry us through to the end of the year.
Yes,
And we are getting DSS a few more vehicles, correct, so that there'll be less mileage to have.
So
6 vehicles.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. Yes, there's more, yeah, there's more vehicles coming.
All vehicles.
So then. Yeah.
Okay, any questions for staff? All those in favor? Any opposed? Okay. On to HS 5. Resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services Administration supplies and expenses increase. This budget modification is to transfer funds to meet expected need for the purchase of supplies and expenses for the calendar year 2024. The administration supply budget line is used to purchase paper, office supplies, and DSS program abstract expenses. The abstract expenses are for state mandated SNAP employment training, direct client reimbursement expenses, and non-recurring adoption subsidy, and KIN-GAAP attorney payments. There's been a 28.4% increase in the average monthly DSS program abstract expenses. Much of this increase is due to the increased number of adoptions that are being finalized. There's also a 17.9% increase in the cost of paper. Both expenses were unexpected and not included in the 2024 budget. The expenses are reimbursed at 50% federal, 25% state, 25% local. The local portion for this budget modification is being moved from underspent salaries and wages. This is in the amount of $119,000. Look for a motion to discuss. Tucker. Okay.
119, is that total? Is 119 just?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
The 119,
The end of
is that the total? And then we're getting 50% from Fed, 25%?
Correct.
25% from state?
Correct. The 119 would be the total that we're asking, and then we'll get 50% federal, 50% state, and it'll be 50% or 25% local, sorry. And that 25% local we're asking to be taken from unspent or underspent wages and salary.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. HS 6. Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, Adult and Family Services holiday premium. The Department of Social Services incurs expenses for services staff who are mandated to work during contractually designated holiday time. The increase is $800 in holiday premium line, and a decrease in the other equipment line by $800. Do we typically have to bring things that are this small to committee?
I believe we were told it was related to wages and salary.
Because the holiday period.
Oh, okay.
It's personnel.
Got it. Okay, let's first and second. Very good. Yep. Any questions? All in favor? HS 7. Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, social services, adult, family, therapy, all. Social services incurs expenses for staff who work mandated on-call time outside of the department's normal business hours. This would increase the call time budget line by $5,500 and decrease the other equipment budget line by $5,500. This will be budget neutral this fiscal year. Look for a motion.
Motion.
Motion, second. Any questions?
And, oh, so what do you got? Somebody on call for every night, weekend?
Correct, every day of the year.
What do they get for time? 2 hours a day to be on call? And then someone-
They get a flat rate, and then they get, I believe, like a payroll portion if they actually do other types of tasks.
Do we not know that that on call would be there? Why is it coming in this late? Would it have been in the budget from the beginning?
It depends on what level the staff are at, whether they're senior, supervisory level. When we have 2 supervisors on call, it costs more than for us to have lower caseworker staff on call. And that's what's happened with some of the payroll payments, biweekly payments.
Is it a rotating list or is it volunteer?
It is a rotating list, and then if someone cannot do their on-call assignment, then it's up to them to swap with someone else. So it could be other people.
So when the supervisor, the higher rank one gets it,
They would be filling in for a regular
we go
staff.
through all the regulars before that. Are the supervisors last to get it? So I'll give you police world. The lieutenant can only take overtime after everybody else has turned it down and it comes first.
I do not know if there's a certain number of staff they have to ask first before a supervisor can take that place. I can check.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. HS 8. That's resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, Adult and Family Services, adoption subsidy expenses. It's a budget modification and transfer funds to meet the need for adoption subsidy expense. New York State Office of Children and Family Services, or OCFS, mandates the rates that must be paid by counties to adoptive parents that receive adoption subsidies. Rates are reviewed by OCFS in April and July of each year for possible COLA increases. Effective July 1, 2024, OCFS mandated a 2.84 increase in all adoption subsidy rates. There's also been a steady increase in the number of adoption subsidy cases in the past few years. The increase, this would increase the other supplies and expenses for adoptions budget line by $461,000 and decrease the other supplies and expenses PPCon budget line by $461. That's a contractual line, correct? PPCon.
Correct, it's for preventive and protective contracts.
I'll look for a motion or a second.
We get any of this money back, any of this get back to federal or state?
That's reimbursed partially, right?
It is, correct. If the cases happen to be Title IV-E eligible, we get 50% federal. After that, we get 60% or 62% state, 38% local after federal.
Is there a limit on that?
The federal is uncapped, and so is the state.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed? HS 9. Resolution authorizing budgetary modification, Department of Social Services, Adult and Family Services, Residential Domestic Violence Expenses. Residential domestic violence services are provided in accordance with the laws and regulations of New York State, as well as standards prescribed by the New York State Office of Children and Family Services. These services include providing emergency shelters and care to victims of domestic violence, and are provided by agencies whose residential program for domestic violence has been certified by New York State OCFS. The expense for these services fluctuates greatly from year to year, and in particular, a lot of that was due to COVID. 2020 was only $1,656 change, but in 23 it was $150,202. Through August of 2024, we've received invoices totaling $103,908. These expenses are reimbursed at 49% state, 51% local. Local portion for this budget mod is being moved from underspent services, contract expenses. The total is $96,000, $12,000 from the state aid family assistance line. There would be an expected loss of $12,480 in state reimbursement. I'll look for a motion to discuss. So,
You said it was 103. What was the price? It was projected to be 138, right? You said we were 103.
yes.
Projected.
Well, so this change is expected to get us through the year. All of these changes so far.
Correct. That's what I had projected out for us to the end of the year. But it is, does fluctuate a lot, so it's hard to tell.
So, and there will be an expected loss in state reimbursement. Is that based on what was projected in the budget?
No, it's because we're taking money out of the PPCon line, that contractual line, where we would normally receive 62% state funding reimbursement, and we're putting it into the domestic violence line where we receive 49% reimbursement.
Oh, okay.
So that's where that difference
The
is.
reimbursement rates are different. But,
Is there anywhere we can get it other than that? So we're not losing a greater percentage?
You're not really using it because you're using money you wouldn't have spent anyway. You have to spend it.
You realize you're all asking questions today, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not against
I
you.
don't-
I just, we
no,
don't want to
no.
be on the floor. Not
It never hurts to ask questions. I don't mind at all, really. I did not see any place where we had any lines that were receiving any lower state reimbursement, that if I had taken it from there, it would have not led to a loss in revenue.
okay, any other questions? All in favor? Any opposed? HS 10 is resolution authorizing the issuance of a temporary license agreement to Champions Events Services LLC. I'll look for a motion to discuss. Can you give us a little briefing on this?
Sure. So this is for 1 year. Next year, we're going to put this out for our, so for this year, this will be for 2025, so that Champion Sports can contract with us to run their tournament schedule that you'll see is attached in there, their proposed schedule. So this was put together by myself and the county attorney to cover all the areas he felt necessary, that we felt necessary, that would get us through the year before we put it out.
You know, for bid next year, does that eliminate that contract originally with the city and relations to that the other day? Right.
Expires, eh?
Yeah, it's expired.
That's why,
So that's why we have the gap here.
Raven, did I get a first and second on that? I did not, I didn't think I did. Yeah, motion. Second, sorry about that. Okay, any other questions then about this? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so
We have another one, school district, 7th champion, right? Track.
resolution authorizing budget modification, youth bureau transfer from insurance recovery to others, no, I'm sorry, that's, so. So there's two, okay, there's two of these?
Yeah, there's two separate contracts, namely Champions and one with the school district.
HS10 was the one with the school district. I think that's the one you just voted, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, no, he read it as champions.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
you read 11.
He's getting
You read
forward.
Okay, can I go back to HS10?
Okay, so we did 11.
Yes.
Yeah. Changing. Resolution authorizing the execution of an intermunicipal agreement with the Oswego City School District for residents.
What did the numbers turn out to be at both?
Total is 45,000.
I'll look for a first and a second to discuss.
First,
So
Any other questions?
I was going to say, so if you remember earlier this year, we came to you to set some pricing and working with the different school districts so that they can provide usage of the fields. Oswego City School District currently doesn't really have fields to use right now, so they're looking to invest with us, so they're looking to year by year as to with us, but this is their proposal that we put up a contract together with, and again, you'll see a schedule in there. Barring a horrible winter, it starts as early as March. So this is the proposal that we feel is fair for them to use our fields. And again, this would be something that we're learning as we go along, but it seems like very cool. I would be okay with that.
there was a question at the last meeting, the fence lines, are they gonna have to move for baseball?
Only if varsity plays up there, JV and modified, boys, and girls is softball is fine. So if we want to entertain varsity baseball or SUNY Oswego, we would have to move a fence line at least one field. We're figuring that out right now, putting numbers together, but we have been out there, we've marked it all out. So now that it's all marked out, we have to get some numbers together to find out, what makes the most sense to do so. We've been working with the grant writers on different parts of the facilities right now. That's something that we could potentially look at to throw that in with the proposal.
How much further is that?
They would have to go out about 50 more feet, 50 to 75, depending on center field.
Is there any polls or anything?
There's like holes in the way in field 5, they would have to move, but that would be part of the cost. But interestingly enough, we have some questions to go about. So, for example, Oswego School District, who we consulted with about it, because they obviously would like to play their varsity as well, they don't care about lights. They're not playing that games up there. So, for them, they don't really care if a couple lights don't stack up, personally. But I know it's not their field, but as we talk about pricing down the line. The tournaments, it would increase the tournaments too. They'd be able to offer it to older divisions as well.
But now does that change that field from being usable for legends for the kids? The ones take 50 feet
More, but field 5 is more of a, it would be more for older kids anyways. I mean, it's a pretty pretty long stretch. The bases are farther apart. 5 and 6 are bigger.
Anything else? Any other questions? All those in favor? Folks. Okay. We have a walk-on, you just, well. So I handed that out, I didn't understand that. Not a big deal, resolution authorizing budgetary modification, the Bureau transfer from insurance recovery. The treasurer's office to other supplies and expenses for Legislature. Yeah, that again. Okay, so the reason that we let this fly is just because it's just, being made to transfer funds from insurance recovery because you just got the check, right?
Right after
The
June.
amount of $29,746.20 into other supplies and expenses ledgers. This is to repair, replace batting cages that were damaged by, let's for first and second. Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? Okay. Just for the record, the reason that I do these, I try to prepare these ahead of time, is just to condense the info memos so that anybody who watches the videos, which I have actually heard some people do, they've complimented our committee for them knowing what's going on, as opposed to just reading the resolution and not actually knowing what's going on. So people that these are all posted on YouTube, and people can see what we're doing and hopefully understand. So I apologize that we had a little mix up there, but we're through the resolutions for today. So.
I'd like to add real quickly, not like this stuff, but it's county. With the trailer there.
Well, no, I agree.
Snowmobiles out door. A lot of revenue.
Is that within our purview and jurisdiction to cancel winter? I don't think so.
You try.
I like winter.
I vote no.
But also useful. Trust me.
I put $1,000 into fixing the fence, tried to fence it. Last storm roof like that.
Okay. Okay. All right, so Brian, you're first.
All right, I'll go quick. Call it lucky or not, my director's report for my board meeting, I have it all ready to hand out to you, and if I'm proofreading it out like a couple things, so I'm not going to do that. So I'll just touch base on a few things here. I'll get this to you for the next time. When we talked about Legends and Champions, their last tournament of the year is this weekend coming up. So that will be their last tournament. After that, we will begin shutting it down for the winter. B&G is going to turn all the power and everything off so we can get that under control. National Grid is actually up there right now. They're working on that gas line and prepping different things that are happening. So we will still have some different kind of activities happening up there, but we're going to have those things shut down so that we can prepare for the winter time and get things going for 2025. New York State Governor's Youth Council, which I share the central, southern tier, North Country regions. I have 18 counties that we're overseeing right now. We just first started meeting on that. We'll prepare some different resolutions to put forth for the governor's office. So I'll keep you up to date as we move forward with that. The ribbon cutting for the bathhouse at Camp Derby is Wednesday at 2 o'clock. If anybody would like to go up there, that will be ready to roll. And aside from that, our Leadership of Silver Youth Program, we are in the preparation of getting that going for this year. I have some flyers I can pass around for you to distribute. That's similar to the adult class that some of you may be familiar with, except for it's a youth class. As many programs, we've retooled that for the upcoming school year, and that's a brand new program that has a whole new leadership avenue to it. So we're looking good with that. I think, check with my staff, I think we have about 6 school districts that are in so far, so 3 more we're working with. So that's been moving along well. Our AmeriCorps program kicks off year 28 next month. That's been moving well as well too. And we just continue to work forward with everything we've had moving. So making that quick for you today.
Thank you. Any questions for Brian? All right, on to veteran services. Here.
So this month, we're going to work with the Oswego Clinic again for a pre-Veterans Day appreciation lunch, is what they're calling it. So for the Clear Path is going to provide food, just like they did at the Vet Fest, which was outstanding. And the Mobile Vet Center is going to be there, which provides office space for us so that we can be there as well to hand out information, answer questions, schedule appointments, enter veterans into our database. So we're looking forward to that on October 25th. The only other thing I have is we had one Veteran of the Year nomination that came in, but I'm not sure what we want to do with it since there's no actual committee. It's my understanding the committee chooses. There was like 10 of them that choose. I don't know if the county wants to maybe recognize the individual during a ledge meeting, or I can just hang on to it and we can roll it over to next year.
So we haven't had any luck recruiting chair for the veterans advisory committee. Raven, could you work with Betsy to come up with something to send to the rest of the legislature? I mean, we're hoping to find a vet to do that. It's not a huge commitment of time, but it's pretty important. It's that we haven't had a functioning committee for quite a long time now, the entire time that Eric's been on board. So it would be nice to get that going.
Does the chairman of that committee need to be a legislator?
I am not certain. I don't.
Yeah, we have, the clerk of the legislature maintains a book of the rules for every advisory committee, so we can reference that.
In the past we did, but it may not. It may not. Yeah. I know. I asked her for some stuff on pretty recently. Yeah. Yeah. Or was no, but Mike was chair for a while, but he never. I think he said he was going to do it, but he never really took breaks. So maybe what we can do is try to put a little memo together to the legislature to discuss what our hopes are for. Maybe you could even work with Eric on it. Say, how big is the committee? What's the construction of the committee? What kind of stuff it does, and how often it can be. And, as long as people understand what the commitment of time is, maybe we'll get some to work. And the value of it was good. Was really good for the amount of time I think that folks had to put in. When they got together, they were effective, but it takes a leader to take it on and run with it. So, okay. Anything else here?
So, sir,
Any questions for Eric? Okay. Sarah? Steve?
So our second of 2 senior health insurance fairs will be this Friday in Fulton at Catholic Charities from 10 to 1 o'clock.
This again is to try to help alleviate some of the people that are seeking services in our office that we can't assist because of confidentiality and privacy in our temporary space. So our first one was in Plasky last Wednesday, and we had about 20 people that showed up, so not a large crowd in Plasky. We're hoping to get 22 more in Fulton, be able to get that, connect them to insurance providers to get their questions answered for open enrollment, which begins October 15th. We also began receiving the early outreach applications on September 7th. They started coming in the door. As of Friday, we received 161 applications. 71 of them have been processed and sent up to social services. Keep doesn't open until November 1st, so no one will get their benefits till then, but the applications will be there ready to get their benefit as soon as it's open. Last year at this time, or last year for the whole year, we received 398 applications, so we received 161 this year. We are working, or we will be providing a 6-week Powerful Tools for Caregivers class. It's a series beginning Wednesday, October 15th. The classes will be virtual. They're an hour and a half long, and it provides caregivers with tools to reduce their stress, improve self-confidence, manage time, better communicate their feelings, teach them how to make those tough decisions as a caregiver, and also to locate resources to help them. Our caregiver luncheon has been tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, November 13th at Hannibal, and we'll be at the Travis 40 Glass House. They have donated the space to us. Staff are doing fundraising to cover the cost of the meal for the caregivers. We're also going to have chair massages, as well as some mindful healing practitioners there to assist with that caregiver burnout. Now that all of OFA staff case managers are trained, hired, we're fully staffed and they're trained. We have opened our wait list for senior home care services, so we're adding people on to those services now that we have fully trained case managers. We're looking to add 10 to 15 people and on our senior home care services. So that should help some people in the community get the aid in the home, whether it's personal care, like house for type services. We also, case managers began the training for the mini cognitive tests as part of the client assessment. We're part of a 13-county grant to be able to offer the mini cog assessment, and after the assessment, which is about 5 minutes to explain it to the person and 5 minutes to perform the cognitive test, adding it onto their overall assessment. If they show that they have some cognitive issues, then we will let them know that we can refer them on to the upstate geriatric center so they can get some additional testing and resources. If they don't score that they have cognitive issues, we can still refer them there because some people still want to go, they have questions, they still want to go to the geriatric center, so we can still refer them. It's a 2-year project, and they will follow anybody that we refer to them, they'll follow on with them to further report. They're hoping to open it up to all the counties and the states, to be able to offer it to all Office for the Aging for this testing. But our 2-year participation will get $6,000 for our office. State Office for the Aging will be on site October 15th and 16th, performing our annual evaluation. This will be the first time it's been on site since COVID, so they'll be looking at all of our paperwork and our files, and it's regarding programs. They're just going to be looking at programs, contractors, making sure that contracts are all correct, and that we're doing the monitoring of our contracts as well, our contractors. So, yeah, don't anticipate any issues at all with the assessment that they do for our monitoring. And maybe think what Eric mentioned, volunteer of the year, we will be getting something out soon, looking for senior of the year as well. We usually don't do it till after the first of the year, but because it's back in person in Albany for the recognition luncheon, we have to do it a little earlier to seek out our seniors. So if you know any exceptional seniors, I'll be thinking about that. I'll be getting the application out. We can nominate up to 2 people locally, and then those names get promoted to the state. They, those names, those people and their family, their loved ones get to go to a luncheon to get that state recognition. But then of all the nominees that go to the state also chooses state volunteers of the year as well. So you think of that, if you know of anybody. That's
Questions for Sarah? Okay, thank you. On to Department of Social Services.
I'm gonna let Nicole start off with her report that she has.
Okay. Everybody get a copy of that?
Yes.
Oh, should we take just a second to go back to,
Your membership of the Veterans Committee. Yes, the chairman of the committee has to be a veteran. There's 2 members of the legislature on the committee required.
but the chairman doesn't have to be a legislator.
No, the chair does have to be
Okay.
the chair of the committee has to be a legislator. But the legislators don't have to be veterans, because you can't guarantee that they'll be elected. But everybody else on the committee has to be a veteran. The rest of the committee includes the veterans director and 6 veterans from the community. The membership is recommended by this committee, but the appointment is by the full legislature at the chair. Terms are for 2 years. Right now, everybody who's on there, their term expires the end of this year.
I'm sure I do. I don't know that it's changed, right?
Okay, so maybe work together, see if we can get a little memo out to the legislature, just an email, and say, hey, you know, if anybody's interested, it's very, pick that back up. Okay, sorry for the delay. Go ahead.
That's okay. I think everybody should have a copy of a single sheet that went around. So this is just a few updates for things that are happening with the mental hygiene division and some recent activity. First, we have some RFPs. Last month, you awarded 1 RFP, and we have 3 more that are currently in process. 2 proposals were due last week for the housing rehabilitation intensive case management. We received 2 proposals for that. They're currently under review. The other one is the opioid abatement recovery and support services. We received 3 proposals for that, which are currently under review. And the third one that is out, the RFP that is out, is for coordination of the Oswego County Suicide Prevention Coalition. That's not a new RFP. That's a kind of a renewal at the 5-year term to put that back out. That submission date has not happened yet. In the coming months, between now and the end of the year, we'll be bringing recommendations for awards on those RFPs, hopefully, to committee as well. The Crisis Intervention Initiative, this is a cross-system partnership that we are working with law enforcement, EMS, 911, our behavioral health providers, crisis providers, to ultimately to have an impact on the crisis response and decrease the amount of times that law enforcement and EMS are dispatched to individuals experiencing a behavioral health crisis when it's not necessarily appropriate for that level of response. So we have identified some priority goals. One is to increase the utilization of that behavioral health crisis resources in the community and in the region, educating the community about those resources so that we can increase people using those directly instead of calling 911, which currently results in either a law or an EMS response to that person. Having conversations with 911 around looking down the road around diversion opportunities to potentially embed mental health professionals in the call center with call takers to help them triage calls. And if we could arrive at that, a place with policy and changes to be able to divert some calls to mobile crisis response instead of a log or an EMS response. So that's a model that's being used in some other counties with some degrees of success that we're starting to look at. So I'm working with Kevin Cooley and his staff to just initially explore how that might look and what resources would be required to have that happen. Also post-crisis connectivity to treatment and resources. So when people are interfacing, receiving a crisis intervention service, that we're looking at what can we do to provide a bridge service or support from the time they're discharged from that service or that crisis intervention service ends and when they have their next follow-up appointment, whether it's with an existing provider or maybe a new referral. And looking at trying to standardize that protocol to make those linkage referrals for bridge supports and services. One of the pieces that's part of this is a community awareness campaign to help increase public awareness of resources. We have started wrapping central bus tails, the rear end of the bus, on a quarterly basis. We're changing up the messaging and we're working with our provider agencies around graphics, et cetera, and messaging. The first quarter that we did this, we were highlighting the mental hygiene division as a point of access and referral. Currently, if you see them there, have Farnham Family Services information on the back of them. And then at the next quarter, which will put us around the holiday time, we'll be working with Liberty Resources and promoting the mobile crisis service that they provide. The QR code that's on there, that's something that we're working on as part of that community awareness campaign as well. That takes you to our web page, specifically a crisis intervention resources page on our website that has available information. And so we're still developing the information that's on there, but that is an active QR code currently that we will be using and putting on information and business cards that law enforcement has asked for so that they can access it themselves as well as distribute them in the community when they're responding. Working with Heather Snow and mobility management around exploring some ideas for transportation, on-demand transportation specifically to support people to get to crisis services, either crisis respite houses, regional crisis intervention, intensive crisis stabilization center in Syracuse. Mobile crisis will go to people, the other services people have to get to them. And trying to look at other ways so that people are not using law enforcement, et cetera, to access those services. Any questions about any of that? Okay. We have one vacant position, which is created by, we added a new position in January of 2024. So one of the existing staff transitioned into that role, and we have not been able to backfill the mental health services coordinator position to date. The remainder of this sheet gives you some highlights of our local services plan, which is required for us to submit to the New York State agencies, OASIS, OMH, and OPWDD. It's a 4-year plan cycle. This is year 2 of that 4-year plan, and it was an update year. So we were looking to update and revise our goals that are submitted in that plan, and the Community Services Board approved the plan last week, 2 weeks ago, 20th. So this is a summary of what the 4 goals are that we are working on with our stakeholders.
Thank you.
I figured out some stats, not to by department. We're going to start with group 1. And this is assistance program stats, month ending August 31st. So we provided the stats. Family assistance applications that were received were safety net assistance applications received was 570. Medicaid apps received were 570. We only had 9 apps received. Are you taking over?
Maybe.
We'll get them.
We do.
The more experienced people know that they get in there early because heat runs out sometimes.
The weather's nice now, let's do yourself here, so it's all that.
Yeah. Child care received 38. Active family assistance cases, 462. Safety net is 528. Active SNAP cases, 9,114. Active Medicaid cases, 9,164. Active child care cases, 301. Active Medicaid chronic care cases, 444. Exempt households, 522. Non-exempt households is 291.
Can you explain exempt versus
I'm sorry?
exempt versus non-exempt? Meaning, where are they exempt from?
Honestly, I have to ask that question.
Safety net funding.
Safety net funding?
Yep, so when a family clocks out, times out, if they meet an exemption, they stay under TANF, so it's different. Whereas if they don't meet an exemption, they then switch over to safety net, and then it's local dollars.
And that's after 5 years, safety net? So,
For a family assistance case, yes, 60 months.
thank you.
Overdue child care apps, we have 1. Overdue Medicaid apps, we have 103. Overdue TA research, 11. Overdue SNAP research, 24. Overdue Medicaid research, 1. And overdue child care research, 1. Assistance program staffing stats, month ending August 31st. For senior vacancies, senior social welfare examiner 1. Social welfare examiner 12. Social services investigator 1. Employment specialist assistant 1. Community service workers 2. Some other things going on with integrated service updates. The investigative and overpayment unit has resulted in cost avoidance of $15,618. EBR and SN cost avoidance of $62,472. 43 investigations were completed with 193 currently open. 159 adults were scheduled for job search and 70 adults attended, an increase of 14 adults from July 2024. The Integrated Service Call Center fielded 3,877 calls for the month of August. The Integrated Service Unit has established a new family-centered case management services. The ENT unit held their first set of open interviews and sent letters to clients letting them know that there were open interviews occurring with auxiliary services. 10 showed, 7 were interviewed, 1 found employment elsewhere, and 2 didn't have their GED, so they were signed up for the TASPS course. EVA updates, virtual reading of the SNAP rights and responsibilities are being done by EVA for the SWPs. This was piloted with 3 SWPs and will be moved to remaining over the next 2 weeks, freeing up more time to timely determine eligibility. Integrated service staff all have access to EVA Companion to assist with questions about internal policy process, saving time and supervisors to train. Contractors with EVA continue to work with our telephone providers to get the live up and running to accept live calls and change reports. We're waiting further assistance from the county's IT department starting to pick up. And when I went down and attended the NIPWA commissioners monthly meeting, they are looking to create an EVA commissioners work group because we are one of 5 counties who are So to keep us on track and moving in the right direction. There's a lot of safety programs very helpful to the department. I am going to join that team. DSS stats and updates for the Services Division, Child Protective Service stats. 182 reports were received in August. 214 reports were submitted. The total reports closed in August were 160. Here's the breakdown for that. There were 99 unfounded, 37 indicated and closed, indicated and transferred to family services, 24. Percentage of closed cases that were overdue was 150 out of 160. Just to kind of inform you, the QA auditors who are looking at those cases, because we asked some questions last month, realized that what they need to start doing is ensuring that cases don't go overdue. So they are now prioritizing the cases before they get overdue and then continuing to work the backlog. So we're hoping that we can get more cases closed doing this. I think Sarah reported last month she handed over 5 cases to close to each senior staff. So we're hoping that we can get those numbers down. The current number of overdue CPS reports is 650. The number of CPS cases pending review is 230. The percentage of pending CPS cases in review that are overdue are 205 out of 230. For the Services Division, Child Protective Services staffing stats, there are 6 vacancies, 3 staff on approved leave of absence, and the percentage of CPS workers in training unable to take reports is 4 out of 42. The Service Division Family Service stats, total open cases is 400. Number of children in placement is 163. Total people being served is 1,400. In the Services Division Family Services staffing stats, the vacancies are 4. Staff on approved leave of absence is 4. And the percentage of family service workers in training is 4 out of 39. In the Service Adult Protective Service, there are 29 open cases with 15 pending referrals. Total receiving rep payee services, 415. And we have 52 total home care cases. The Services Division for Adult Protective Services, staffing stats, vacancies are 2, staff on approved leave or absence is 1, and all 8 case workers are seasoned in that division. Some other updates, as of 9:30, all 6 vehicles have arrived for our Services Transportation Unit. So we're hoping that's going to help mitigate some of that mileage reimbursement claims. Director Finley is currently wrapping up the Services County Plan, which is due 10/1. The admin team will be meeting with Tim Stahl and his team for marketing strategies for foster parent recruitment and positive department publicity. DSS's service and fiscal team will be doing field visits in Chemung County to learn and adopt any best practices as it relates to each department. Chemung County is relatively the same size and budget and trends in the top 10 overall for our state. At our most recent CPAC meeting, 2 subcommittees were established to aid in foster parent recruitment efforts and improvement of department perception. We are also close to working on recruiting a new CPAC chair. The TSS checks and updates for administration and staff development. TSS has been working with the highway and DNT to slow parking lot. We've discontinued reserved parking for the directors and allocated that to accessible parking. Also, we've ordered signage for supervised visitor parking. CWAs will be parking in municipal lots, and visitor parking, employee parking will be separate and delineated because we have so many staff at the site who utilize accessible parking. We need to make that division noticeable because what ends up happening is staff are taking all of the spots closest to the ramp, and I'm hoping to avoid that by establishing those ones to be the visitor parking sites. We've also been working on creating internal policies for additional hours, overtime, termination, and client escalation policies. So we realize we get a lot of complaints sometimes. Legislators will let us know what's going on in their districts when folks are reaching out. And I thought it would be a good idea for us to track those complaints and maybe provide some reports as to how we resolve those. We are looking to have some demonstrations for GPS trackers to help mitigate the use of employee vehicles. This is something that many people are adopting because it also has an insurance saving, and some insurance companies also give you those trackers for free. So I thought it would be a good idea to look at that to also assess safety and monitor the driving of staff who are transporting our families and children around. Admin has developed an employee engagement survey. That survey did go out. I think today was the deadline for that to be completed. We kind of wanted to get our finger on the pulse of the temperature at PSS. And we're looking to publish the outcome of that, but also look at reassessing it again in a year from now. We are also going to be conducting stay interview surveys with staff at milestones, and the hope is that we can identify why people stay rather than why they leave, and what kinds of people maybe we need to be looking to recruit for DSS. We did do 2 PIP review groups to meet monthly and determine updates and work to be done with the agency's OCFS PIP that was started a couple of years back. We seek to have ongoing cited items closed at the next performance review slated. Administration will be utilizing the LDSS training contract to have Actor and O'Connor present at our 1031 Directors Retreat. Cynthia O'Connor will be working with teams of DSS directors, Roy, Jay, and Kevin, to develop a meaningful dashboard so that we can share and collect data that's meaningful, but also do it in a consistent way. Admin will be working with staff development and HR to develop one consistent evaluation tool to be utilized across the agency. Any questions? Child support updates. Child support currently has a 26% vacancy rate. Despite the vacancy rate and loss of several seasoned seniors, CS is still on target to exceed the $200,000 of local dollars and collect more than the unit did in 2023 calendar year. Child support just completed a state security audit and will review necessary policy adjustments once the review is received.
Very good. Thank you.
A question on the GPS trackers, are those for the cell phones that are?
So the trackers can work 2 ways. They can plug into an agency vehicle. So it can track things like hard braking, speed, things like that, things of that nature, or if the vehicle's left running for long periods of time. They also have apps that can be downloaded on a phone so that if you're a staff person who's driving your own personal vehicle during agency time, the app can be activated and then track your movement throughout your workday. so it can be turned on and turned off at the start, stop of your workday.
For DSS's vehicles, you could also contact 911 because DSS vehicles can be fitted with a county radio, which has AVL embedded in it. And then you'd be able to see on a dashboard on your computer where all your vehicles are. That keeps a record. So there's two ways. There's one for the employees driving their own vehicles, obviously, it's not a county radio. But if you contact Kevin Cooley at 911, talk to him about county radios in your DSS vehicles, training for people. Good.
Any other questions? Well, I'll look for the appropriate motion. So all those in favor of adjourn? Any opposed?